There's an awful lot of coffee. John Bristol, grew up in Elmwood, Connecticut.
John Bristol's a tough one.
The puppet master.
Goofy. Yeah.
Hidden qualities.
I didn't really go to school. I chose to not do the college route. Wasn't really for me. Right off the bat, life was in the way, and then life kept getting in the way, and then I just decided I wanted to just do it myself, and I really just started to seek out other artists, other performers, other puppeteers, and learn from them. And also, there's a wonderful thing called the library and the internet. It's amazing what you can learn from those things. So I was really mostly self-taught. If you want to be a better artist or a better performer or whatever, you just got to keep learning. You can't just stop, because if you think you know it all, that's when you stink. And the journey to get there was how I became the artist. The self-taught teaching, the apprenticeships, just the studying of the work I loved turned me into an artist. There's no one set path, at least as far as I'm concerned, to make yourself an artist. Everyone takes their own version of it, and mine went from copying the comic strips in the Sunday Funnies to drawing characters of my own, into turning those into comic strips and then comic books, and then I from there got into puppetry because I was a huge fan of puppetry. Never thought it was something I could do, and then just decided one day I want to see my characters look like 3D. Wasn't much of a sculptor, so I thought building puppets would be easier. Boy, yeah, but it kind of took over. I design and build puppets, and I'm a puppeteer. I'm also a filmmaker. If they told me out of all the things I'm doing I had to stop and just do one of them, I would stop writing, I would stop filming, I would stop drawing, and I would just make puppets. Kindergarten, we had those sheets of paper, draw on top, write in the bottom, big ass paper, and I would draw similar things every week. Me with Muppets, me with Snoopy, me with whoever, whatever cartoon character, Woody Woodpecker was on my mind. And this one week I did me with Bert and Ernie. Then you'd walk up and the teacher would write down the story to go with it, because kindergarten, you didn't know how to read or write yet. I got bored of waiting for the kids to go through theirs, so I sounded out the words and wrote it myself and realized that this is what I want to do. I love doing it. I felt a sense of accomplishment, and I decided to make this what I could do, because I drew it, I wrote it, it was all mine. Just decided, yeah, comics is where I want to go, and puppets, and because they all kind of came together for me, and that was the moment, really, and then I just took the journey from there. I think puppetry is going to re-enter in the United States, the mainstream, in the next 2 or 3 years. You're going to see it as another force, because people are going to get bored of computer animation. There's a point where people are going to go, I want to feel it again. And that's, why I think the Muppets were so successful originally, is you could look at Kermit the Frog and know that you could reach out and touch it. You can't do that with Buzz Lightyear. Or just keep doing it. So many people say, I want to do this, I want to do that. I know so many people who call themselves filmmakers and screenwriters who don't do either, but they watch a whole lot of movies, and they talk about it a lot. Talking about it isn't going to make it happen. Talking about art, talking about puppetry, talking about movies, talking about music doesn't mean you know how to do it. Doesn't mean you are doing it. It just means you enjoy it. And that's a wonderful thing. Not everybody has to be a creator. You can be a spectator. But if you choose to be one of those people out there, do it. Don't just sit around and talk about it. Make it your life, make it your social life, make it your social circle. There's a lot of puppeteers and puppet makers. The average person wouldn't have heard of course, Jim Henson, though. Of course, Frank Oz. That whole original Muppet crew up through the 80s. Even their puppet builders, Don Sahlin and Faz Faskowitz, and Raleigh Krulson. There's a whole bunch of them. And then there's other puppeteers too. That I've gotten to know or meet. Frank Ballard, Bobby Box. He was a big influence on me personally because of just his general attitude. Bill Baird. You definitely see some Baird influence in the female puppets I make. Then illustration was a big deal for me too. Huge fan of comic strips. Charles Schultz, big influence. The Garfield work, Jim Davis and his crew, huge influence. Calvin and Hobbes was a huge influence. Older cartoons, Looney Tunes, blew me away. Dr. Seuss. The life I'm living, the people around me. The scripts I write are very much based on things that are going on or have gone on or could go on, and the characters I create, as abstract as they may be at times, are always based on somebody I know. Sometimes they look exactly like the person too. Sometimes they don't, you know. And the world that I'm living in definitely is probably my biggest inspiration as far as what goes into my work. And I got a screening, and the screening was a much bigger success than I expected. We did like an Elmwood Productions Greatest Hits. It blew up, and then I was going to meetings leading up to it every week for about a month just to make sure I got all the information I needed to get the screening done properly. And then the following week, I went back to the next meeting and just to say thanks. And I found out that I was being nominated to be the next resident artist because of how much help I was and how passionate I was about the gallery in general. Because from the second I walked in there, I felt comfortable. I felt like it was home. I liked everyone there, got along with everyone, and it was just like the sense of humor was very similar to mine, and I don't find that everywhere. The doors can be open. That's one great thing about Paris, is the doors are open. It's an inviting place. You know, it's just, there's so many young artists out there who don't get an opportunity. Somebody has to be the first one to give it to them, and why not Paris? Then I'm not going anywhere.
Art is free expression. I'm Andre Rochester, fine artist, illustrator, graphic designer. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut.
Smooth.
Gentlemen.
Intimidating.
He's a smooth man, you know, and he's kind of like the Phantom.
Well, I went to UConn for illustration. Couldn't graduate, unfortunately, but I am working on getting back. I'm raising the money to do so. Within 2 years, I plan to be pretty well known. That's not to sound cocky or conceited or anything, but that's a goal of mine. Art is supposed to be something that is very personal, and it's an expression of who you are, what you were thinking, and it is about the moment that you were in once that brush hits the canvas. It's kind of like you're painting your feeling. You know, you're painting your emotion. You're painting something that you otherwise could not see. For me, painting is an experience that should be shared. It's an experience that should be cherished. Right now, I'm focusing on that. I'm building a foundation for the career that I want, and that's where it is right now. Music is my major influence. There's something about music and art that just they blend with each other. You can't make art without music. Me personally, I'm influenced by funk music. George Clinton is a huge influence on my work. He's a huge influence on just me in general. The creativity behind the whole Parliament Funkadelic movement, and what he has done for music, I hope to do for art. Singers like Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, so on and so forth. I listen to a lot of soul music when I paint. I like hip hop also, a lot of underground music. I'll probably sit here and talking for hours about how music has influenced my work. Other artists include Jean-Michel Basquiat, Andy Warhol, Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, Van Gogh. There's a guy named Joe Sam. He's originally out of San Francisco. He's an older gentleman. His work is phenomenal. I'm definitely influenced by him. He does a lot of mixed media stuff. Gary Jacobs, a contemporary artist out here in the Hartford area. Really, I can go on and on and on. I'm influenced by anybody who is who is doing something different. If I have to say there were any direct influences on me, I'd have to say it was my illustration teacher, Corlin Deibler. She's the person who got me into using color. I used to be scared, like literally afraid of using color in my work, and she threatened to fail me if I didn't do a color piece. And you know, if you take a look at my pieces now, you realize she created a monster. Deborah Dancy, her name was Deborah Muirhead then when I was at UConn. She was my first ever painting teacher. And we used to argue tooth and nail about why I was a graphic design major and not a painting major, because I actually started off school as a design major. Deborah, she encouraged a lot. She used to push me a lot in class. And we used to argue a lot because of the way that I used to paint, and what she was doing was teaching me technique, and she was trying to get me to kind of expand my horizons a little bit. So here I am 5 years now giving you credit for what you've done, and you also created a monster, because now I don't want to do anything else but paint. I don't even like drawing anymore. I got involved with Paris and Plantsville by doing a few shows with the guys basically out in New Britain when they used to do the Gonzo style art shows. I used to work with Steve at an art supply store in the Hartford area, and basically me and Steve got kind of tight. So Steve came into the store one day, invited me out to one of the shows, and I participated in one of them. Then I got invited to the next one, and we just kind of got close from there. And then a few months after that, I came down here to the gallery, and they invited me to be a resident. I was actually submitting work for a juried exhibition, and they kind of hit me with that question. I was like, really? So that's why I'm here, and I'm a resident artist here at Paris and Plantsville, and honestly, I couldn't ask for a better group of guys to be a part of. I would like to see Paris and Plantsville as a really dominant force in the art scene out here in Connecticut. I want this group of people to really bring something different to the table.
My name is Stephen Rand. I am from Middletown, Connecticut.
Wild card. Steve Rand.
Steve is a ball of fire.
Steve. Drunk.
Very Irish.
I went to the University of Hartford, the Hartford Art School, for media arts, new media, whatever you wish to call it. Originally mostly video. Moved into installation work and painting and collage and stuff. Just a lot of mixed media work generally. So yeah, I like to mostly installation though, conceptual. So I think the first time I knew I was an artist was probably like 3 or 4. I mean, now I realize this as my first moment as an artist. But I was like 3 or 4, around, really young, and I drew this picture of my father on a backhoe and crayons, and really rudimentary, like little bow-shaped birds, and horrible drawing. And he framed it, and he kept it for many years. And one Christmas, my stepmom gave it to him as like a Christmas gift, as like a framed Christmas gift that she had this sitting around for like 5 years. So I guess that was the first moment I actually realized there's some value to art. And now, in retrospect, I would say that was my first moment I knew that I was an artist. All sorts, everything from Matthew Barney to Duchamp, the traditional works as well, fine art stuff. Bruce Nauman, a lot of the video artists, Vito Acconci, the 70s, Ant Farm, all that stuff that was going on in the 70s in video especially. And that, I think, has had a big influence on my work. It's a video teacher, Mr. Varsity, and my English teacher, probably. Those are the two people. I made this film, we had a video production class, and I made this film. Really enriched, horrible movie, looking back at it, it's so bad. But I made that, and I played it for him, and he was really all about it. And I was like, you know what? Someone in my video class told my English teacher about it, because he was the drama coach there, and he wanted to watch it. So and was really like, wow, this has potential. You know, you should really look into this. I decided to go for this, and I ran with it. And those two people, they really, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. We started throwing shows. I was part of the New Britain Artist Co-op, and we started throwing shows there, just like open calls, just like kids we know from Hartford and artists that we've met and whatnot. And we all started working together there. Jordan, Sean, Joe, all of us, and it came along that Sean was able to get the space, and we were able to start this gallery. And kind of started from there and just transferred over once we had the space. A contemporary space for everyone to show work and continue to show work and grow as artists. Try to break down the walls that have been created with the more established, you know, places around Connecticut, museums and so on and so forth, but still have the validity that they do.
Jordan Henry Deschene, and I'm originally from Andover, Connecticut.
Probably the most determined artist I've met in my life.
Goofy.
Jordan Deschene, quirky.
Corporal McPeeny Tots.
I went to college at the University of Hartford, the Hartford Art School. Before that, Manchester Community College, which is where I started to seriously take art classes. I went to Palm Beach Community College in Boca Raton, and before that, high school at Lyman Memorial High in Lebanon, Connecticut. I work from my imagination, and it's something that I can't physically stop. It has to be put on paper. It has to be set in clay. I'm mostly an oil painter, but I was a double major in college. Did a lot of ceramics throughout the years. Mostly the stuff that I do is a little wacky, a little out of bounds, things that just come into my head, and just that I need to get out. I've always had this really overactive imagination, and somehow I just needed to manifest it in a tangible way. I was always drawing my entire life when I was younger, and I just realized at some point that I just couldn't stop. So that's where I went with it. And I've teaching art informally and formally since I was 19. Around 2000, 2001, graduated high school, moved to Boston, started meeting people that were actually working artists. Got to work in a community center, teach art classes, and just be around it all the time. And it was just tough to not get inspired when you're surrounded by art all the time. As far as choosing this life, as far as choosing the life of a creative, not many people in their entire lifetimes really understand the conflict that one has to go through, the general strife, how hard it is to take yourself seriously and to have others take you seriously when you simply tell them that you're an artist. It's become, in our day and age, not laughable. I can't accept that, but a cliche. And those who understand what you have to go through in the struggle to really define yourself physically in your work, and present yourself a certain way, present yourself with a regal quality, with a confidence in yourself, and in your work, it's very tough, and I don't think that struggle ever ends. I think that this is a permanence, or it must be a permanence in one's life to be a full-time artist. There was a quote in a movie in the 90s, and I think it was the movie Backdraft. And it goes, it's a thing about firemen. Day and night, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, they're always firemen. I think that applies to artists. You can't stop being an artist. You dream as an artist, you wake as an artist, you work as an artist, you walk as an artist, and it's always on your mind. Creativity never leaves the body or mind, and it's a burden, but it's a burden that we can take with a lot of pride. I was inspired heavily by Dr. Seuss, and that's the best way to describe the kind of work that I do. It's Seussian, the whimsical nature of how he created work, and how it came just out of him. He wasn't copying anything. He was creating something that didn't exist before, and that he felt was needed just because that's what was inside him, with a little bit of inspiration from surrealists, Dali, Yves Tanguy, and Max Ernst. As far as music is concerned, is Les Claypool. My stuff comes out pretty close as a visual representation of his music. The contemporary artist that I take a lot from is Greg Crayola Simpkins. He basically does what I do, only a lot better, and that's what I drive to get. Was a brainchild of Sean Maheinchek. I got involved mostly starting with the fact that I graduated with Sean. We were both in the same illustration department. I was one of the artists, the handful of artists that he chose to take on, and as it evolved, I became general manager. What I hope is that everybody who's involved takes this opportunity to really progress themselves as a professional artist, to just make this idea great. It's a simple, the ability to really just spread out and become something, become a force, at least in our little neck of the woods, in our little piece of the universe.
So Jordan, what are you dressed up as tonight?
Well, alright.
I'm God.
Name tag says God.
Bruce Almighty. Jim Carrey. He's Jim Carrey tonight.
But the shirt is all Kerouac.
You're God, dressed as Jordan as Jack Kerouac.
That's Jack Kerouac.